Okay, we're right where we left off in the last episode. We've got some text and a little Swift image here, and we're looking to customize them a bit. You might remember that I had you delete something from our initial Hello World app. It looked like this. This padding is a SwiftUI modifier. It pads your views with space around them. If you just use the empty parens here, you'll get a standard padding on all sides, and the system will figure out how much for you. But like most modifiers, you can be more specific about what you want with some arguments. So for the Swift image, start typing padding again, and you should see 4 autocomplete options in the list. Select the one that gives you edges and length. The first part is an option set that lets you specify which edges you want padding applied to. So you could just do the bottom with .bottom. And sometimes if you check the inspector over on the right, there's a nice interface to adjust modifiers. And that will always adjust the code to match. You could set a custom length for the edges too, but this argument has a default value. So I'm just going to delete this 10 and let SwiftUI sort it out for me. You may have noticed the frame area in the attributes inspector. If you edit the size here, you'll see that update in the canvas and the code as well. Great. So I've told you about exactly one modifier, and you found another in the attributes inspector. How might you discover more? Just like finding more views, try the library. The second tab is full of modifiers. As you can see, there's multiple categories here. Lots of different things modifiers can do for you. There's even a special section for text modifiers and image modifiers. To be able to resize the image so it takes up more of that giant frame, try dragging this image resizable modifier onto the canvas and drop it over the little Swift image. And now you've got an error. Some view has no member resizable. To sort this out, let's talk about how all of these modifiers are actually working. You know that modifiers are how you alter the appearance of a SwiftUI component, but how does that happen? Remember, all of these SwiftUI views are structs, value types. So when you add a modifier to a component, it isn't really modifying the view. It's returning a completely new view with the modifications you want already applied. If you've chained together higher order functions like map and filter before, this is a similar process. That's true in a couple of important ways. First, types matter. The resizable modifier is a method on the image type, not the view protocol. So you can only call it on an image. And just as important, it'll return an image. Second, and related, order matters. In this example, both frame and padding are part of the view protocol, and they return some view. If you apply either of those directly to an image, you're not going to get an image back. The type changes. You'll get some view, and that resizable method won't be available to you. But if you switch that around and use resizable first, problem solved. You'll run into the same issue when modifying text. If you go back to the library, you'll see a quite large section of text modifiers. Let's try one. How about font weight? Drag it over the text in the canvas and drop it on top. Again, this needs to be applied directly to the text component. You've got bold to start with, but you can adjust that, either in code or in the attributes inspector. Now, if you option click on the modifier, you'll see that it returns text. So if you wanted to add another text-specific modifier, you could do that before font weight or after, and the result there will be the same. There are other times the order of modifiers would change the result. For example, add a background modifier to the Swift image. Each modifier is returning a new view, and the modifiers are performed and returned in order from top to bottom. So right now, you're making an image, making a resizable image, then adding padding on 3 sides, setting a frame size, and finally, a background color. But if you select this padding line and move it around with Option Command left and right bracket, see the difference when it comes before and after the frame size or before and after the background? This is a perfect example of why order of modifiers is important. If you want the background color to extend over all of that padding space, you need to add the padding first. If not, the padding should come last. You can also put some in both places. Fancy. This can all take some practice, so I've got a challenge for you next.